So David HERCENBERG, did I get that right?
Yep.
Fellow Towson EMF grad like myself, digital media marketing specialist, videographer, photographer, documentarian, life documented life.
Documenting it all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And family man. What if you don't mind if you don't mind dating yourself, when did you graduate, Towson?
You know, let me look at that. 2003, I think it was. It's been a minute.
We must have been there at the same time. I graduated 2004.
Really?
Yeah, EMF. Yeah.
Did you have Greg Fowler?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. And what was that? There was some really good teachers there.
GT, Keplinger, Tishkin, Fowler.
Fowler, I definitely had.
Keith Tishkin was, he was big on like the study of film. He did a lot of specialty classes. I took his Soderbergh class and I took his
Soderbergh
David Lynch class.
I did that too. Was it Tishkin? No, there was another guy.
Fowler did. I took Fowler's post-apocalyptic class, where they kind of specialized on genre.
No, Matt Bainbridge.
I don't think
did you
I
have
had
him?
That. I don't recognize him.
He did a Soderbergh also, and I learned a lot about like the director's themes. How each sort of person had their own style, and it was reflected in all the films. Like there was a water theme, or there was just different types of themes and different styles of filming. Whoop, there goes the gimbal. that would like, really, it would really like define the movie. So I thought that was really interesting. Like growing up, let me see if I can adjust this here. Technical difficulties.
Hey, we all have them. I have technical difficulties on this show.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the game. Really, I think what defines a pro versus anyone else is really the ability to work out those technical difficulties and prevail, because everything has gone wrong one time, and then you learn it from it and you get it right eventually and you improve, and that's what makes you the pro, because you keep doing it and you've worked out the kinks, and that's really what makes you good at what you do. And
yeah, there's
over time, it's been like decades now doing this video jazz, and the technology has continuously changed every day. There's a new camera that comes out every day. There's a new way of doing things, and so we have to constantly adjust the way we've been doing it. I mean, when we were in film school, it was mini DV, right?
Yeah, and I remember, my first, film one, we had to do reel to reel. 16 millimeter reel to reel, cut it, tape it, make sure that splice is like smooth. It's got to play right. I mean, not only do you have to be, and that really taught like a mix of both creative editing and technical editing. That splice has to be flush so it plays in a projector right.
Yeah, I mean, I remember with Brian Plow, we had that was like Film 101, and we had to develop the film. To buy the film at Kodak and develop it, and then we had to film it a certain way so it wasn't overexposed, and we had to color correct, and then we had to like figure out how to cut like seamlessly. Yeah, and that was really where I started learning about like, oh, I can cut. And now people just do it on TikTok. Now it's just very simple where they can do it within the app, and that's, I think, why it's so powerful, because it's giving people this platform to do things that we had to send it off to Hollywood to get developed, like the film stuff with the technological revolution, with all these new changes, have made things so much easier and readily available in the palm of our hand. You can edit and film anything on your phone and just get amazing results. And not that it's putting people like us out of business. It's in some ways, it's making us more valuable, because there's more demand for the professional level, and there's more opportunity because people are open-minded to say, you know what, I would watch that. I would share that. That is important. And so I find myself documenting things across the board that maybe I wouldn't have 10, 20 years ago. So I think in a lot of ways, this technology is a good thing, but it does mean that we have to adapt with the times. Like with COVID right now, we have to do more live streaming stuff. We have to do more things that we wouldn't normally do necessarily. You know, some people, I'll get a lot of emails that they're reaching out to do editing remotely because then they don't have to leave the house. Hey, can I edit your stuff? You know, or graphic designs or things that they can do remotely. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity. It's just, again, you have to hustle. You have to be out there really, really pushing it because it doesn't come to you. I mean, word of mouth, it does do a lot. And most of where I've gone, how I've got to this point is word of mouth, I think. You know, it's a hustle, but you don't just graduate film school and then make movies. You know, you have to really figure out so many things on your own. And that's something I don't think that film school prepared me for, was like, just here's a piece of paper and they give you some insight as to how to cut a film or how to edit something, you know, some logistical things, but not how to run a business, not how to
network,
no, none of that stuff. And that's what you need to survive.
If and you know, so you said you graduated 03 and I graduated late 04, but I think we got Craigslist around 06 or 07 and I started getting a lot of gigs off of Craigslist. And then it was Staff Me Up, it was Production Hub, it was Crew Up, Collaborator. Now I mean, now you have Backstage and Staff Me Up, and I think it's called Crew Me Up now, which are apps on the phone.
Right, I'm on those, and I found that they are kind of cool, but again, that has to do with the style. And again, there's so many different avenues when it comes to film.
Yeah,
like you could be playing sports, right? You might be an athlete, but you could play football, baseball, basketball, or you might be coaching, or you might be doing a specific thing within one of those sports. Like I'm just the kicker. And for film, I've kind of explored different things. Like I was an extra on House of Cards. And in that respect, you're just standing there. You're in film. This is Hollywood, but as an extra, you're basically furniture. You're alive and they feed you and you're on set and everything, but it's not rewarding because you don't really do anything. And then there's like sports, like I did web stream sports where I filmed minor league World Series. That was cool. You're on the headphones, but really all I'm doing is moving the camera left and right. And I'm not getting anything in the outfield. I'm not even allowed to like look over my shoulder. I'm just a computer going left to right. And so I felt confined. You know, I didn't want to just be like told what to look at and how to film it. I want more flexibility, more creativity, which is where I found documenting life as it is, filming what is happening versus in Hollywood or on a set where they're creating something out of nothing. So a lot of times, you know, in a commercial shoot, they're like, okay, let's pose you here and you're going to say this and we'll do it again. And then we're going to cut to that. And there is something to say for that. I mean, that's nice. And you talk about fake news and things being manipulated. Like, is that really, really like the way that fruit looks, you know, or is it painted? And it ends up that it is painted and it's not edible and you shouldn't even touch it because you could get sick. So, So I find that just, you know, whether it's a wedding or a funeral or a family function, or even just a corporate thing where it's just filming what's going on. There's so much value in people and what they have to say and environments, just capturing the environment as it is. There's something to say for that. And so I just try to, it's kind of natural beauty. I like a lot of that natural geographic stuff and watching, you know, the animals and the things that they've created along the way. I like those types of programs. I just find them to be kind of real, even though there's still a narrative and there's still some editing and things going on. It's just, you're just watching a bird hop around and, you know, survive. And I think that's what we're doing as humans, and we sometimes lose sight of that.
And to touch upon what you were saying with technology, you know, 20, 30, 40 years later, 20, 30, 40 years ago, they had to use huge helicopters with huge cameras, and they had to, like, you know, have a whole crew, you know, 3, 4 guys in the woods with bigger cameras, which would have, you know, distracted the animals or took the animals out of their natural responses to just, you know, living in a quiet, you know, a big helicopter rolling over scares the hell. But now they got drones. Now they got like these quiet drones with 4K cameras and ultra zooms, which might, you know, not distract them nearly as much as, you know, or scare them, or, you know, cause them to like stampede or whatever. And now, of course, you're going to have an animal expert, some nature experts saying like, that's the nest. So, you know, they might go hunt. And so then we can just drop a GoPro. They would never know. You throw some leaves on a GoPro. We sneak it up there and we put, you know, what is it? You know, jaguar dung on it. So they won't know that it's a GoPro. And then they sneak away. And then they're capturing all this truly natural footage because it's a tiny little camera like that.
Right.
And the jaguar has no idea, or whatever animal has no idea that there's a camera there. So they're really going to be in their natural environment, their natural state of mind. You know, to touch upon, I don't know how we don't recognize each other. I was an extra on House of Cards a number of times.
Nice.
But, you know, I found an opportunity to take so much. I can agree with you to an extent. You know, being an extra on House of Cards, you're not really doing anything. You're not really. But I'm like studying so much. I'm seeing what stand-ins are doing. I'm studying
everyone for
and
sure.
I'm studying that.
It was rewarding, but to do that full time, to be that as the job, I don't know. Like, it's a long day. It's really long. It's like, it was just grueling. Like, I was like, wow, they are so meticulous, measuring the distance and flipping the room. I mean, it was very impressive. Like with the sets, it was amazing.
And I've worked on so many different productions, like, you know, all those crime shows that Sirens and Storyhouse produces, and they're not meticulous, and for a reason. They know what they're shooting. Yeah. And then I see what House of Cards does, and then I see the footage, and it's almost like, you didn't have to be so meticulous, but they wanted my exact sizes. They wanted me to come in for a fitting. Are you serious? Sirens has me come in day of, they throw a cop uniform on me. It's extra baggy. And they both, you know, the final product, I look fit. It looks like the uniforms fit, but, you know, it's just, and I guess a different working standard. So with having both worked with, you know, the crime shows, those ultra low budget crime shows, having worked on House of Cards, I'm seeing, you know, you're able to pull off one thing with another. And, you know, and also with like sports production, I worked a Nats game, I want to say like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I had that big shell, I had the mic, and I was following the crack of the bat to like the catch of the ball. And just, you know, doing some simple job like that for, you know, like a week, a month, even a year, my creative juices start flowing. Like, what could I pull off, and how could I make this? You know, like, because the technical revelations then start saying like, here's what I could pull off creatively for half a budget. Make a cool web series, make a cool short film, make a cool ultra indie film. I mean, like the guys that did Blair Witch came up with that idea, and the guys that did Swingers came up with a smart idea. They had no lights. If you remember in Swingers, they couldn't figure out a way to light the room. So that's why Mikey was walking around in this other room. He would open up the fridge and the fridge would light him. And then he would shut the fridge or walk to another room. And so they created this whole dynamic where the guy's just pacing through the house. But he's not going to keep the fridge open the whole time, right? That's odd. So he goes there, opens it, it lights him. And then when he goes to another room, he's dark. And then he stands by like a desk lamp.
That's what I mean by like just filming what's going on. They're able to use what they have and create something that's meaningful and powerful. Right. Like for example, my great uncle took the photo at Iwo Jima of the soldiers holding the flag.
Oh wow. Okay.
And that was something that was defined a revolution. Like that defined a generation. It's like such a defining moment in American history. And like that, he was just capturing what was going on.
He took a quick snap of something.
He just took a picture.
Documented life, and it turned into be like the vision.
You know?
Yeah.
And I almost see myself as kind of a superhero in a way, because I get a call. I'm not a policeman, I'm not a fireman, I don't rescue people, but I do rescue memories. I do literally save the day. I save the day. I show up, I save it on a video, and then I deliver that to them. And then that becomes a family heirloom, a keepsake for future generations. And no one would ever be able to hear the grandfather speak down the line if he passes away without that video. So it is an honor to be able to do what I do and stand where I stand and see what I see and share what I can share with the community, because some of these things go way beyond, my lens, and it reaches a lot of different people. So the impact that some of these things can have is so powerful. And so it's like great power, great responsibility. You got to think about, what can we do as a collaborative unit for a creative project that could reach people and inspire them, especially in these difficult times? Because we have powers that we're just kind of sitting in the basement like, okay, I hope I get a call. But there's also creative projects that we could do as film people, whether it's you and me or other people involved. Everyone can kind of lend a hand. That's kind of why I like watching America's Got Talent. You get to see all these different people sharing some of their abilities with the world. And yeah, they want to make money, but they're also just trying to be seen and be heard. And people embrace them and say, yeah, good job. Sometimes, they're like, get off the stage. But a lot of times it's really nice when it all works out. And I just want to see more of those types of things, using film to bring it together.
About 5 or 6 years ago, I followed a bunch of different YouTubers, and Rob and Dana Lynn Bailey and CT Fletcher, like these fitness guys that I was watching to, get in shape on a deployment. And I realized these guys are doing 17 other different things. The Rob and Dana Lynn Bailey, she won Miss Olympia a number of times, but he's a power lifter. He opened a gym. They make custom gym equipment. They also work on drift cars. They started their own supplements. They do clothing. And it just dawned on me, like, you got to do 15 different things to strike gold at one or two. And like, and kind of take your philosophy. It's like, you just delve into a number of things and then do 3 things within that thing and like document all that. And that might turn into like a cool, web series or docu-series or whatever. Yeah. If I had like a corporate gig, I had this one corporate gig last Halloween. They sent me to New Orleans. And so I invited some buddies out. And then when I wasn't, at the event, we would just go get lost in New Orleans and film all that stuff. And that turned into like that own side thing that was like the passion web series on YouTube, just walking into like a voodoo house and walking into a costume house and like checking out local restaurants.
And you were just having fun filming what's going on. And just like this, I mean, this is just capturing conversation, and there's value in that. And when you do that over and over, you end up with a series. I mean, I did that too. We started an online magazine right out of college before we had Google Maps and Facebook. Right. We created this magazine where it was like where to go and how to live without breaking the bank. We were talking about Change Up magazine. And it was just about, I did the film series. We went into all the different bars and restaurants in New York, Philly, DC, and Baltimore. And we basically just showed, we had a host. It was like Travel Channel, like Food Network. And it was like, okay, what do you think of this place? And it's the mom and pop places that never get noticed. So you'd go to the website and then you'd figure out where to go on that Monday night. I have the special. And, with technology, that's not necessary anymore, because now you have the Google or whatever it is. But there's so much that if you just do that stuff, it can become something very powerful. Sometimes these House of Cards narratives are something you would binge watch, and there's so much value in that, but that's for entertainment. It's not the same as like watching the news or watching something else. I don't know. It's just, it depends on, I guess, the audience. It depends on what you want to do, what you want to make, how you want to spend your time, if it's profitable. You know, after a while, walking into places and just filming for fun doesn't pay the bills. And so you're like, this is great, this is amazing, but I can't pay my bills. Like, I got to live.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act. And if you're able to travel, sometimes people get these gigs at these hotels, and they call them and say, hey, I want to take pictures at your hotel for free. Can I stay there? And then you use it to barter. And if you're able to do that, then I think it's worth it, because now you're going to Las Vegas for free, you're staying for free, and you're working a little bit, but it's validated because you've paid for it with your craft. And I think as long as that's the case, you're doing the right thing. As long as you're able to get some sort of gain, you know, word of mouth is powerful, but getting some sort of paycheck or exposure, something out of it, that's going to take you to that next step, is always a good thing.
Yeah. And I talk about on this show a lot. It's like, if you are surviving, you know,
Right.
I mean, maybe not a millionaire or a billionaire, but if you're surviving and living comfortably, doing what you love, then it's not
Right.
work. It's not work. It's just,
No.
it's just, there's, you know, quality of life is another paycheck. And, you know,
right now, you know, with this quarantine situation and everybody, you know, with COVID, I just find like a lot of people are losing their jobs, right? People are just getting unemployment. And I know for our industry, I mean, events are not what they were, right? I mean, they are not happening to the scale. And I'm starting to book out next year because people are like, oh, next year will be fine, which is great. But at the same time, this year, you know, was not the biggest year. Every year incrementally has been bigger. And now it's, you know, not quite the same.
yeah.
But it doesn't deter me from doing what I was doing film in high school. I just had the camera. I was just filming people, and I did it in college. And I got this in college. I actually went to Poland and Berlin for a Holocaust documentary. And I filmed like all the concentration camps for the sociology class. And I created this first documentary, and that was really cool. It was like, it got me out and it showed me the power of what this can do. And I just feel like it's kind of a calling. I don't know. I just feel like when someone calls me and says, can you do this? Like, they're letting me into their life, into their business, into their property, into their home. I'm a stranger, and now I'm connected with them for life because of whatever I'm creating for them. It's like a bond, and it's not a friendship. You know, we're not like, hey, how you doing every day? But like, we are connected in a way that we can't unshake, because we have this thing in common that we did together. So it does have value. It does have purpose. It does. It is important. It is something that preserves something for future generations. This is like a time capsule. You know, it has power to live on a phone. It can be on your TV. It can be on your shelf. There's even these new things. I just got, check this out. I just got this book thing, Paper Motion. Okay. And now you can open it up and it will play your video. It's got volume control. So now people can literally hold it. I can give them this DVD.
Yeah.
Like, it's a playable handheld tablet.
Playable video book.
Yeah. Like, and it just has that video on it. So like, I could just, here you go. So then it's tangible, like a photo album would be. Yeah. You know, and so that's cool. You know, there's, with all these innovations and hologram and 360 now, you can just immerse yourself in the space. I mean, businesses, they're going to have to turn more to video. If people cannot leave their home and they want to shop or they want to explore this museum, how are you going to do it? You got to have like Google Maps in the museum. Mm-hmm. You know, we go as a family on the computer. Oh, let's see this exhibit. And that means that people like us have to go out there and set that up for every business. And so that means there's more opportunity if you're willing to do that type of work.
I mean, you know, like Amazon was doing altered reality. They started that about 3 years ago, where you open up the Amazon app and you start filming your house, and they start, you know, plugging in appliances and ornaments and furniture and tools, you know, throughout your house that they're doing altered reality, and like, hey, what do you like this chair in this corner of your room? You can swipe different chairs. You swipe different chairs. Oh, that chair looks fantastic. You can even turn the chair, and then you set it in your real living room, kind of through this altered video reality.
Yeah.
And like and you know, I think at this point, that's like just a self-sustaining, that software has to probably be upgraded and rebuilt and stuff like that. But I think that's just a self-sustaining software now. And so those who jumped on that, you know, at that point, you know, they're sitting pretty. But altered reality, virtual reality, the technology, the universe building, you know, you're still going to have to have some sort of creative to continually expand that virtual universe, or that virtual reality universe, with add-ons or, you know, better res or whatever the case may be. That's going to be, you know, like you said, with these new current state of affairs, this new normal, that's going to be generally it. Unreal Engine is like,
and Facebook too. Facebook's having the whole Oculus movement, and I mean, this domain is open. The door is open, and people are starting to do it. I mean, even the live stream with the Insta 360, like, you're able to just see the whole space and explore your area. And with audio, you know, audio, I always try to remind people, it's like the biggest thing. It's the main difference between what a photo can do and a video, right? A photo, you're just going to look at it. It's great. It's a beautiful moment, but it's just there. And even if it's moving, it's not speaking to you. And the video, the biggest component, the biggest difference is that you can hear what people are saying. And so it's like a book on tape. You can listen to a book on tape. You can listen to the video. You could watch the debate, or you could listen to the debate. Like, you can hear it. It's the same thing.
Yeah, just like with this podcast, you can listen to it in the car, or you can sit down and watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing. And so that's why podcasts, I think, are getting so big, because people do listen to it in the car, and they're in traffic. You know, they don't need to be, but that's all because of the video has the audio, and that is allowing you to have that experience. And that's why video is so important, because not only can you see the mannerisms or whatever, but you can also hear it. And audio, just, it's immersive. It lets, like music, it's really like music. And music creates a mood. It creates something that it's an experience. And I think music's so powerful. It's like, I want to do a project with it. I don't know. I always use a song as a background, but, like, I don't know. I've done some work with The Bridge and some other musical geniuses along the way. And I'd love just more, I don't know, like a Fantasia kind of movie, where it's like interpretive almost. It's like, it's timeless. And you hear songs and you just it's kind of like when you taste something. It's like the senses. You taste something and you're like, oh, that brings me back to my mom's, you know, cookie dessert. Or like when I was a kid, it tastes like childhood. Like, there's just certain tastes, certain smells, certain sounds that bring emotion back and just strike people in different ways. And I think using that in certain ways, playing into it, could be kind of a powerful video project.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you raised a good point with Fantasia. And I remember, I don't know what year that came out, but it was, you know, back in the 80s, movies stayed in the theater for like years. So I saw that as a kid. Maybe I was 6 or 7. And, you know, it haunted me, man. It had.
I was scared of it.
Yeah.
At first, and my parents were like, "Oh no, it's Disney. It's fine.
It's Disney. Mickey Mouse pops up somewhere. Yeah, we saw it in the trailer. So, but like that big
hippo,
that big demon thing that came out of the castle, whatever. You know, I'll never forget that thing. And
Yeah.
so I try to watch it again on Disney Plus, and the whole first half was just the orchestra with lights and colors, and then
Me too.
but you know, I was kind of bored with that, but then I realized how the whole film was just kind of evolving.
Yeah.
They had this orchestra, and then the animations kind of evolved. It was like a splash of paint, which turned into like more in-depth animation. The whole film just was basically like you know, animation showed the evolution of animation from the 1910s maybe all the way up to like, you know, Mickey Mouse flooding a castle. And
and that part's the most memorable part.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it's really well done. And it's also like just music. They're just playing the whole thing, but they're building incrementally. And, you know, look at where we are now in terms of technology and animation. It's even further along. So it'd be Fantasia 2.0, you know, where it's a different sound, it's a different narrative, but it's a continuation of where they started, and they're just playing music, and it's taking us to a new place. Maybe if it gives people a sense of peace, I don't know. But, you know, I love Spotify, just being able to explore and just click around, and there's so much music. With YouTube, I mean, the platforms are endless, and that's also what makes it so overwhelming to go in any direction, because you're like, okay, I have this power. How do I use it? What do I do? There's no, you know, X-Men, you know, there's no Charles Xavier saying, you know, this is the direction. And you have teachers, you have mentors, you have people that can help guide you, but it's not the same. Like, there's no clear path as to where to take. And so it's like, what do I have for dinner? I don't know. There's a lot of options. Like, I don't know. What am I in the mood for? And yet sometimes we end up going back to the things that we know we like, as opposed to trying something new. And I'm not saying that's bad or good. It's just, that's human nature. And it's scary to try something. What if I don't like it? Why? I don't want to waste my money. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. And I think maybe sometimes you can go to a restaurant, you try something new. You know, for filmmaking, you can try a different avenue or a different direction, and you might find an incredible result. But you don't know unless you try. You won't know unless you pick up the camera. You know, some of the things I've seen on TikTok, like, are amazing. It's so creative. I'm like better than anything I've ever thought of. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. And they're just flipping their camera around, and then you see how they do it, and they're showing you, and they have all these fans, and it's like, wow, I thought I was a videographer, and look what they're doing.
Exactly. And when they started doing like their TikTok video, and then they're making of that TikTok video, that's when shit really started getting creative, and I started learning a lot, even from these kids.
Yeah. Oh,
but to touch upon what you said earlier, you know, we went through we went through the old tech first, you know, even having a film camera and having to buy film and then develop it. And then maybe, you know, I think with film 3, you had that option to sit in with a color correction, a chemical color correction, you know, where they could pull exposure, or they could pull a color.
Yeah.
And that gives us a way more appreciation for this.
Sure. Yeah. There's always an appreciation can only take you so far. It's like what our parents would say, like, oh, you guys have it so good. We didn't have tablets growing up. We had one TV in the house, and that was it. And now, yeah, we appreciate our tablet, but it does give you, it adds value, but it doesn't change the result. You know, it's at the end of the day, you have to adapt with these times and learn how to use the new technology to thrive and to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you're doing it with this podcast right now. You know, like, that is a step forward in terms of using what you have, getting out there, you know, and talking with different people about different topics. Like, that's relevant, it's valuable, and it's current. And so continuing that trend, you know, it can take you to the next step. And it's all just about opening another door and moving forward and trying something new. What's next? What are we going to do next? And, you know, I think it's a great thing that you're doing. And, you know, I just think there's more opportunity to do some powerful video projects down the line. I don't know exactly what they are, but I want to be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to touch upon that, we mentioned, quarantine and, how have you been impacted? What have you been doing lately to,
Yeah. A couple synagogues reached out to do their high holidays. So I heard every prayer at least like 7 times. And I think I'm in the good book this year because I definitely got my fill in. But I also was I liked it because I did some of these high holiday live streams and pre-recording of the material. So I went in, I filmed all the rabbis, all the cantors, all the speeches, all the stuff. And then I edited it all together and then delivered it to them so that they could release it to the public. And it was very well received. And thousands of people watched it with their families, and they were able to experience what they weren't able to otherwise.
mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they would have called somebody else and they would have still had that one way or the other. But the fact that I was able to provide that for them was fulfilling to me, knowing that, everybody got what they wanted. They got their fix. It was a little different. But, there's more opportunity for some of these organizations to do that. And I don't know. I don't know when things are going to change. I don't think this time next year it's going to be any different, especially with second wave coming. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so if this is the case, like, I don't know, you can only Zoom so many times with people until it starts to feel like, okay, when are we going to be in person? When is it going to change?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a magic pill. I don't know. I'm very skeptical about things in general, especially for video. Like, I'm always planning for worst case. This camera's going to die. This mic's not going to work. This light's going to fall and break something. I'm going to, this is going to start a fire. Like, I'm constantly thinking worst case. So I always have backups and I always bring alternatives. And again, that's what makes you professional, because something has happened in the past where this fell or this didn't work or this could have happened. And so I'm prepared for that. And I'd rather be prepared now for worst case scenario where shit hits the fan and things are not going well in a year from now. Who knows with the election? I don't know. There's so many questions that are kind of what if, and again, it brings me back to like, what would I do if everything was perfect? Everything's perfectly fine. I would find a project that was meaningful to me, that would be I'm just playing with my kids, and I'm actually starting to make some, like, I watch these YouTube kids. I'm like, how are these kids making millions of dollars? And
opening up toys.
They're opening up a box.
Yeah.
They're just filming what's going on. They're documenting opening a box. We think that's mundane, but to a kid who's never seen that before, that's not. In fact, what do we do when we're looking for a new gimbal? Well, we go on YouTube and we see all the other people opening up their gimbals, and we see how that looks, and we see if we want to buy that gimbal and will that work with us. And so we're doing the same exact thing when it comes to technology, and we're doing our research that way. How do you fix it? Oh, go on YouTube. So why wouldn't that be successful? That's perfectly normal these days. So I'm starting to play with that with my kids a little bit. Like, okay, I've got a camera, I've got my kids, and that's all I've got. I'm home with them. What am I going to do? So it's like, okay, let's start filming stuff.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Charlie's channel soon.
It's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, he's just playing with superheroes. I don't know.
And like you said, I've said on this show, it's just, I think I found you and it turns LinkedIn. Out like on LinkedIn, but I just spammed the hell out of LinkedIn. And I started with a lot of local filmmakers. You're in the Baltimore and DC area. And I just started with that. And then I started, like, I unchecked DC or Baltimore, unchecked that and just said United States. And but I kept freelance, and then I unchecked freelance. I just spammed the shit out of LinkedIn because it's still quarantine. Like, the worst someone's gonna say is like, "How do you know me?" I don't know you, and I'm like, then don't.
Yeah, look, this is just an opportunity. It's a platform to be heard, platform to talk, have a dialogue, and get out there. And You know, I think that's great. I think it's really great. I would like to do this myself and just talk to people. Like this is social distancing. It's safe. It's meaningful. You know, you could have a dialogue with someone you've never met. And I think more people should do stuff like this. I mean, it's not a cold call. You know, it's not like hey, you know, you can save 5% on your home insurance. Okay, hang up. It's not the same thing. You know, it's talking about what we're doing and talking about film, and it's a platform. You know, it's cool. I think it's a good thing.
But it's within you know, the realms of what we can do now. Like when the quarantine first hit, I said, all right, this is going to be the third try at the podcast, guys. I got a couple of colleagues, and they were in my first like 5 or 6 episodes that we just talked about different stuff. And then I started reaching out to people on my phone. I started going through old texts. Oh shit, you know, like, oh, I worked with this guy. He was an AD on a bunch of those crime shows, and I worked a bunch of AV gigs with these 2 dudes, and so I had them on. And then I started running out of, like, a lot of people in my text started saying no. So okay, Facebook. Started reaching out to a whole bunch of people on Facebook that you know, Facebook is different connections than LinkedIn. So I started reaching out to those folks, probably with a more guaranteed yes. By that time, I had about 40 episodes. Now I have something, like you said, it's not a cold call. I have something to show. Listen, we're both filmmakers, we're both creatives, we're both quarantined. Right. I already started something. I got something going. Hardly any viewers, but listen, this is what we're talking about. Check out some of the episodes. A lot of people are like, hey, I like what you're doing. I'll come on. I'm nowhere near the amount of views or subscribers that I have YouTube wise, but you know, I'm just doing it because I got nothing else going on today.
Right. Why not?
Why not? The wife is working 9 to 5 Zoom teaching. So I might as well work 9 to 3 and, you know, 2 podcasts a day and 2 podcasts tomorrow and 2 podcasts the next day and 2 podcasts the next day. And
look, it's not necessarily paying the bills, but it does get you out. It's relevant. It's up to date. It's talking with people. It's real life. But what is the goal? I mean, let's say you have, you know, is it get subscribers? Like what are you trying to do? You know, interview celebrities, like, you know, let's just say this keeps going and people start following and it's getting momentum. What's next?
Well, good point. But there's one thing doesn't just lead to that one path. I mean, like you said, it could be, I started, you know, interviewing celebrities and huge, rich, famous politicians and celebrities and you know, global, you know, people on a global platform. But also all this networking, we're also networking.
Sure.
So there might be something down the line. You're like, hey man, I have a project I think you'd be a great partner for, because what you do and where your mind's at would be great for this. And that might not happen for like 2 years, but we just did this one podcast. And, you know, about like 95% of the folks that I've had on here, there are a lot of network opportunities. They've even said, like, listen, once these floodgates open, I got a role for you. Once these floodgates open, I got an AD position for you. Once these floodgates open, you know, we got to collaborate somehow. I'm like, count me in. And I really don't care what it is, except for if it, and no offense to you, I have no interest in porn or weddings.
No, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone.
Because I've done a couple of mitzvahs, I've done a couple of weddings, and no.
It's not for, no, it's really not. And I remember in film school, people are like, oh, weddings sell out. You can't, no way. And again,
not
it's
true.
It's look,
because I've seen some dope wedding films.
Some of these weddings, if you look at some of the California stuff that's coming out, I mean, it's really impressive.
I've learned a lot of cool shit just from watching some wedding videos, some highly well-produced, creatively produced wedding videos. Now, and it's no offense to, you know, the general bride population out there, or the mothers of the brides. I just do not want to be in a position where I got 17 people like, gotta shoot this, come here. And I'm like, listen, man, I got a shot list. How do you, I think I'm a pretty patient person, and I was in that position a couple of times, and it's just like, let me focus on, you know, the crime stuff and the sports and the politics and the corporate industrial stuff, because if you make a mistake with that, that's fine. If you botch that, this is the same reason why I won't do theater. I won't act in theater. If you botch something, you know, that, you know,
high risk.
The bride and groom, if you botch a take in Avengers Endgame, a $500 million film, all right, back to one. There is no back to one at a wedding. There's not really a back to one in theater. And that's what I love about filmmaking. Filmmaking, for the most part, with the exception of weddings, right? And mitzvahs and stuff like that. But the beauty of filmmaking is that if there is such thing as magic, and I've brought this up a million times before, if there is such thing as magic, you know, there is no wizardry. There is no true wizardry or magic, but filmmaking is that, because you can say to an extent that Star Wars does exist. To an extent.
To an extent, it's there. I mean, you can watch the film.
To an extent, Batman and Superman do exist.
I mean, my kid thinks they're real.
That's the magic of filmmaking.
Right.
And so within that, so when you're in that creative process, you have do-overs. There's so many people in life that you know, they want to do over this and do over that. Listen, that's the beauty of filmmaking. It's a do-over. Yeah. You know, Tarantino's got a lot of criticism about his work, and there might be, you know, some things about Tarantino's work that might, you know, I might not agree with. But when he said, listen, when I'm writing this script, I'm God. I get to create my own world.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of filmmaking, writing, you know, writing novels and short books, short stories, novellas, you know, video game creation. You know, video games are basically a movie you get to play. That's,
it's amazing.
You know, back when Atari came out and these arcade games out, it was basically a cartoon you could play, and it advanced. You know, and that's just the beauty of animation, filmmaking, TV production.
Yeah.
Even with, but then when you have things like life documented, you know, documented video, those mistakes are even make the film better.
It could.
Listen, your phone fell off the gimbal. That's funny. and you're like, technical difficulties.
I'll figure it out.
Technical difficulties. We're pros. We work around it, and we did. But that's like, it's just funny when shit like that happens.
Right. But if that happened at the moment where it's like, do you take this bride, and then it falls off, what are you gonna do?
Okay.
But that's the professional. That's why I have two other cameras.
Two other cameras running. Yeah, sure.
Backup.
Sure.
Worst case, I got a wide shot on a GoPro as a backup. It's not the best shot. It's not the best. I'm not up front and center, but you know what? I didn't miss it because I have a backup. And that's always the case, especially for the ceremony. I'm always running an extra one just in case. Just in case.
And yeah, exactly. Like you said, that's the professionalism. That's the learning from mistakes. You know, failure is not the opposite of success. It's just an ingredient to success. So you botched the shot before, and you're like, 2-camera setup. I mean, everybody knows. I mean, that's even taught in schools now. Like,
you gotta have
at least a 2-camera setup. And I mean, it's the little things like that add into being able to save that magic moment. You know, like this. You see me on this camera, but I've got a camera right here, which is the studio camera. But if this for some reason craps out, then I can just switch this in the podcast.
Right. Yeah. Having redundancies, knowing how to switch it. You know, my grandmother, she's like, where is the button? You know, they don't know. And it's a simple thing, but it's not always so simple to people. You know, I don't know how to unplug the plunger or something on the sink. Someone else knows how to spin it, and now it drinks. Like, everybody's got their skills. So that's why with video, you know, they look to you as the professional, and they say, okay, how can you help me? You know, how can you help my vision come to life? And then you work with these people and really help paint the picture so that their message is heard, and they get some business, and hopefully you get some business, because everything you film, you have now as an example of something you've done. You're like documenting. In a lot of ways, I'm almost preserving my own legacy through my work, because every time I do a job with the Horseshoe Casino or Amazon or whatever these big companies are, I have that as here's an example of my work. here's something else I've done, and I'm not in it. You can't see me, although sometimes I try to get the behind the scenes stuff. It's still an example of, this is who I am, this is where I've been, this is where I want to go. And it's really cool to be able to show that along the way. You know, documenting my own life through the lens and showing everybody else their projects. It's also beneficial to me. It's kind of a win-win. And there is a lot of opportunity to cut and do it again for certain parts of the job. But some of them, you know, at a graduation or something, you got to film, or it's a lecture or speech, or even a live stream. I mean, this live stuff, if you can't botch that, your internet goes out, the camera feeds glitching or something, the audio. I mean, there's a lot of pressure with that, with the live stream stuff. Podcast, it's a little less because you're just using the phone and it works.
Yeah.
But some of this live stuff is really, I think it's even more stressful than just being able to press record on the camera, because at least you know, okay, it's recording. It's definitely recording. We're plugged in. We're capturing something. And sometimes when you're on the live stream, you're like, okay, is it rolling? What are people seeing? Is it delayed? And you have to have another thing just to see. There's just more at stake. More people are watching. You need bandwidth. You need internet. There's a lot of other things.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to live streaming, I've got, you know, those big USBs, and that means universal surge battery. I don't know. It's not the USB plug. It's this big surge protector that's actually like a 45-minute battery, right?
Yeah. Does it beep though?
Yep, it beeps.
Yeah,
the power went out, and the power went out, and the wife was freaking out, and I'm like,
right.
that's the big thing that I have.
That's what I got.
That saves my whole studio.
She's like, turn it off.
And I'm like, I can't, you know. So, and I have two of those. I got my modem plugged just into one, and then I got this whole studio plugged into another one.
Yeah.
So that in case the power goes out, but if the power goes out in the block, but not at the Xfinity hub, and the modem's still plugged in, then it's still going to get the coaxial signal. So now I still got Wi-Fi, and this deck is still powered. Then I've got multiple backups, and then I'm streaming. So with this, I'm streaming to YouTube privately. I'm recording, and then I'm recording on my other laptop in Zoom.
So you got the redundancy. Yeah.
So it's like that's the redundancy. So in the case of like the weddings, you know, having that redundancy live, that wedding's live. You're shooting that live. There is no take two. Right. But it's not live as far as somebody watching it. It's, you know, you're going to take that back and edit it. But there is no but in that production, in that
moment.
Yeah, there is no take two. But that's where that redundancy comes in, you know.
Exactly. And that's the redundancy is what makes me sleep better at night, knowing that, okay, not only do I have the experience knowing where to be and when to be there, but I also know that worst case scenario, and I pressed the wrong button on the camera, it fell off or something happened. I've got another safe wide shot that's running in the back. And I probably have another camera, like 2 or 3 cameras for those things. Just so I know, like, okay, maybe someone's standing in the shot. Maybe the battery died in the back. I don't know. Maybe I didn't press record. So like, I just try to always overdo it, even if it's not in the package, even if it says it's 1 camera shoot. I have to do that for my own sake. So I know that because I don't want to be the guy who's like, oh, I missed it. Sorry, I missed it. Yeah. I don't want to say that. I'm being hired not to say that. So I don't want to, you know, that's the only thing I have to do. It's the only responsibility. Like, otherwise I'm basically standing there and they're paying for what I see. You know, this is it. It's not difficult, but it does require you to be present. You have to be present. You have to put your phone down. You have to focus on what's happening in front of you. Mm-hmm. And people can't do that. A lot of people just cannot put their phone down, you know? And a lot of people are not present. They're thinking about the past. They're thinking about the future. They're not in the zone. And being a filmmaker, you have to really be present at that moment for whatever it is that you're looking at, whoever you're talking to, the old lady or whatever it is. You just have to hear what you're just there with them, and you're capturing whatever that is. And sometimes there's beauty in that. And, you know, sometimes you go beyond the camera and it transcends time and space. You're just like in this place with them, and then it's over and you're like, oh, that was really nice. And you would have never been there otherwise. You would have never experienced it otherwise. And so it takes me places. It takes me places. It gets me out of trouble. I see the world through this job, and you know, I like what I do. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, and to touch upon that, you know, like I said, there's another web series that me and some colleagues have, and it's about us documenting our lives, our travels, our gigs, our personal life, professional life, and everything in between. And there's times where someone says, hey, do you want to film my birthday? Do you want to film my kid's birthday? I'm like, no, but I'll be there, because I want to be in that moment with them.
Right.
I don't want to be responsible for capturing it in such a way that they want, or I don't want to be responsible for capturing it in a professional way.
Right.
But I will capture it on my phone on selfie mode, you know, maybe getting a little tipsy and, you know, having a good time and capturing that moment for myself.
That's your own, right. That's your own perspective. And it takes a different perspective to be able to put your own perspective aside and now film it for their perspective. Like, it has to do with the framing.
Yeah.
It's like you could be in it and now it's about you, or, you know, you have to think about how are they going to want to see this? How are they going to view it? And, you know, as a sports person, you're just doing one motion. You're not thinking about the edit and the frame or whatever like that. Or there's all these, you know, even for the corporate stuff, if you're doing interviews and you're telling people how to direct them, that's different than some of these events where it's a birthday party or whatever. And they're the boss, you know, and they have their demands and you have to abide by what they want to do. I'm flexible and I know what they want and I'm able to deliver that to them. And, you know, if you don't want to do it, send them my way.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what's next on the agenda? What's the next set of goals? What's next on the agenda, say 6 months to a year?
Yeah, get out of the house. I want everyone out of the house. That's it. I want my office back. I want my house back. I got an 8-month-old baby here. No daycare. I got a 5-year-old who's awesome. I mean, they're both amazing. And I love this quality time. It's hard because we don't have help. You know, we're not really leaving the house. You can't go to the playground. It's not what it used to be. And so it's difficult to juggle editing and working and like right now, you know, she's supposed to be on a conference call for work, and it's like the kids are just on their own. What are we gonna do? Like, it's just a lot to juggle. And so in 6 months, work-wise, I just want to start. I don't know. Maybe he's not virtual anymore. You know, I'm literally in kindergarten right now because I'm in the class. Like, I have to sign him in every second, and you know, my wife's at work, and you know, she's got her own priorities, and I'm not even looking forward to the future. I'm just looking at 1 hour at a time. And that's all. Maybe in the future, I'll be able to plan further along than an hour. And that's that's my goal, is like to not be thinking about what's next, what's for dinner. I'll have all that stuff planned. Right. And I can go out comfortably and do a job and not have to worry that like, oh, who's going to do this? And all these other responsibilities. I just feel like a lot of pressure to just like make sure everyone's okay and do all this stuff first. And then, you know, hopefully once these floodgates open and there's more opportunity and more demand and more flexibility to even go. Everyone's scared. You can't even touch a door these days. You know, someone sneezes next to you, you're like, oh God, I got it.
Right. Yeah,
that's it. And it's ridiculous. I mean, I have a cold right now, and I had to go get tested just to rule it out. And okay, fine, but like, we're so paranoid, and it's good to be, but at the same time, it's a lot. It's a heavy burden because you're like, oh, I could spread this to the family. I can't You know, what if they get it and they die because I saw them? Like, I don't know. There's a lot until this whole thing is over. Things can't just go back to the way they were. Like, because we'll remember how this is. So like, it's gonna be different. It's gonna take some time. And once this whole thing is over, then you can ask me that question again. But for now, I just want to kind of get to that point.
You know, I think at the end of the day, for me, it's just what's the bright side of this? You know, I'm in the National Guard, and you know, in June, unfortunately, we had to respond to all the craziness in DC.
Yeah.
And you know, we're getting bottles of piss thrown at us, fireworks, bricks, all that stuff. Who knows who's touching what? And then, you know, while we were on the line and they're like, you know, protesting and chanting and stuff like that, you know, it's amazing that they still kind of kept a six foot distance from us, which, you know, and we were wearing masks and all that stuff. But, you know, the wife, when we were finally done and relieved of duty, the wife was pretty adamant. You know, I think you need to go get tested, stay in the guest bedroom for 15 days, get tested after that. I did 2 tests. What's the bright side? Listen, we got a TV, we got smart TVs mounted in every room.
Right.
I finally got to watch what I wanted to watch.
You got a break.
I watched all the Marvel and all the action and all the kung fu.
Hell yeah.
And all the, and you know, that stuff that she can't stand. And that's the bright side. And even if they're downstairs, I'm zooming and FaceTiming with the kid. And there's the bright side of it. You got to find the bright side that I can still interact with my kid and interact with her. And
the technology right now is a game changer. I mean, the fact that I can order groceries on my phone, drive up and they're there. I don't even have to go in the store. I mean, this whole thing is amazing in a lot of ways. Yeah. It's made things much easier. I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to make small talk. What's the weather with this old guy? I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. And you get to have some quality time with yourself or with your family. That's great too. And the government's basically, if you're able to qualify for the unemployment, you're getting paid. You're getting paid to watch your shows. What could be better? You got clean water, you know, you got a safe house that you live in. It's beautiful.
You mentioned water. You remember the toilet paper debacle when people were losing it over toilet paper in March?
Insane.
So I was adamant, and the wife shot it down. I was adamant about it getting bidets. You can order bidets and kind of like
I saw some of those
and kind of rejack the hose, right, and get a bidet in it, because the government couldn't turn your water off.
Right.
You remember that? They couldn't shut down utilities.
No, they had to, right. And you didn't even have to pay the bill right at that point.
But we were running out of toilet paper. We were going for like a month. Shelves were empty, and then the next couple of months after that, you had to go to that special desk where they had, you know, the
knockoff brand.
Well, no, you had to go to that special desk where you can only pick up medications. They were selling it behind the prescription. They were selling the toilet paper, and it was like only one pack,
one box.
And so you had to go there once and grab, like, let me get that 18 pack, but that's all you could grab.
Yeah,
you had to buy it separate. And then now, you know, things are back to normal. But I said, babe, if we get a bidet, all you're gonna have to do is one wipe after. But
that'll be the benefit. That'll be a benefit.
I don't want no bidet in the toilet. It's gonna look weird. And I'm like, whatever.
It's not for everyone. It's like weddings.
It's like weddings. It's like for shooting weddings. Yeah, exactly.
It's not for everyone.
So so you kind of touched upon it, but what's your view of the new normal?
New normal. I don't know what normal is. Like, define normal in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
We're freelance filmmakers and actors and creatives. Like, what is normal?
What is normal? Yeah. I don't even know what that word is. I don't know what it means. I really don't. And I think that's what's misleading people in the first place. Normal. Oh, they're normal. You know, you go to the doctor, they don't say your kid looks normal. They say your kid is healthy. He's a healthy kid. Like, is normal healthy? Is this not healthy? Or I don't know. Like, I don't have an answer for what is the new normal or the old normal. Your normal might have been different than mine old normal, you know, and now we're both in this new normal and it's the same. And is that normal? I don't know.
Right.
Like, the fact that we're all doing this at the same time is the new normal. I don't know what the old normal is if it's gonna come back. I just think that it's about, I don't know. I think once the vaccine, if there's like flu shots, right? They came out, you get a flu shot and you go on your way. A lot of people don't get the flu shot. I'm not getting one. And I don't know what the reasons are, but they don't want it. And now this new shot comes out and it's the vaccine, right? Here it is. And you're like, okay, it's free. You can just drive up and get it. And how many people are going to go up and get it the first time or not get it because they want like the software update for your phone? Do you do it the second it comes out? I usually do. Why not? Let's update it. Let's get those bugs out of there. But a lot of people are like, I'll wait till they solve the update because there's going to be bugs in the update. So I'm going to wait for that one. So then they don't get the update and then half their phone doesn't work and they're complaining how it doesn't work and they get a new phone and then it's the new update, whatever. So it's the same kind of thing. It's like, I don't know how long it's going to take for people to actually get the vaccine or for the vaccine to work or all of those things. But like, I miss sports. I miss concerts. I miss being able to just go out and be in a crowd or see that happen. I know it's going to happen again, but it is going to take time. And I'm just worried that we're going to get lost along the way while we're waiting for that to happen. And I'm always worried about worst case. I just see worst case all the time. I don't think we're going to get back to normal. I think it's just going to go downhill and it's going to be terrible. It's going to spiral out of control. That's what I really think. But optimistically, I hope that it doesn't happen that way and that eventually we can go out and party and everybody goes back to school and goes back to work and it's fine. But I got to plan for worst case. So I'm going to stock up on some of that toilet paper while it's available, and I'm going to plan that the second wave is going to come. And I'm going to plan that people are going to protest and get pissed off and that bombs are going to go off and shit's going to hit the fan. Because I don't think it's that bad right now. And people are saying, oh, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Well, it's not so bad yet. When is it going to get worse? I think it's going to get worse. And, I'd rather plan for worst case and not work out. I really would, because at least I'm prepared mentally. I'm prepared with whatever I might need in terms of supplies or just mentally. I look back at that first documentary I made for the Holocaust and what they had to go through was, outrageous what these people went through. And you look through history, what people have survived. The odds, it's insane what they had to do. And the fact that they persevered and that we're here today is a testament to what legacy they left behind and what the human species can endure. And I just think we have it so easy. We're like, oh, they don't have pickles on my hamburger that I ordered on my phone. I want a refund. I want a whole new one. I'm not entitled to anything. We just take so much for granted. And I think, the new normal will be hopefully a place where we don't take things for granted. We don't take our toilet paper for granted or our water or our safety or our lives. And right now, I think that we are doing the opposite. And I think once people do take advantage and they realize like the gravity of reality, this is it. We're living life and we got to live it up while we can. And that's where I think the new normal will thrive. I think we just got to, hunker down and pay attention and be present. And that's all we can do, be there for each other and try to help us, help each other get through it.
Hell yeah, man. Awesome. Well, David HERCENBERG, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your thoughts and your stories and advice and all that. It's fantastic. And I'm sure you're right. It's going to get worse than it gets better.
Maybe. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, hopefully you're wrong. But
hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'd like to be wrong, but I'd also like to be prepared.
Exactly.
If I am right. I'd rather be prepared.
Yeah.
I'd rather be real with it. Look, the way I see the news right now, it's terrible. Everything I'm looking at, I hate every single news feed I see. I don't like any title of any news thing I'm seeing. It's just murder, rape, cheating, deceit, evil, terrible. It's like Loki just unleashed his wrath or whatever. Like, I mean, I live in Disney, I live in Marvel, I live in superhero land. You know, everything happy and everyone's great, you know, but there's good and evil, you know. In Star Wars, there's the Force. It could be bad, it could be good, and I think it's a wake-up call, you know, for humanity across the globe. This has never happened before, you know. This is it's a new time, it's a new age, it's a new life.
Yeah.
I think those are lyrics.
I think they are.
For me, I don't know who sang that, but yeah, it's all comes back to music. Keep listening to the tunes. It'll get you through the bad times.
Yeah.
And keep your head up high. That's all you can do. You know, look out for your friends and family and try to get work done. You know, it's meaningful work done that can make a difference. And I think hopefully, you know, with video, maybe that will be a way to inspire people and make a difference, a positive difference. I think, you know, with Apple and all the things that Google, all these platforms are doing, it is, you know, there are pros and cons, but I just see more pro when it comes to technology. I see it more beneficial than not. But you can make your case either way. And I think it's also about how you look at the glass, half full or half empty. I look at the glass, I see it half empty because I'm a pessimist. I don't see it half full. But I also can see where they would see how it would be half full. And if you can just look at it, if you can think about how they could see that and be just aware of it, then at least you can understand where they're coming from. And I think it's important for people to be open-minded and just see things from multiple perspectives. That's what I love about film. You can see things from different angles. And you can see it. You can really see how things fit together, and you can look at things from another perspective. And you can't do that any other way other than through film. So that's what I like about it also, giving you that another way to view the world through that lens. And hopefully we can make some cool stuff.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, any socials, plugs, links you want to put out there?
Documentedvideo.com. Check it out. Man.
Here, let me
oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, I did some work with Gordon Ramsay, Giada, some stuff in DC, Governor Hogan, different schools, different nonprofits, T. Rowe Price, BGE, the railroad systems and transportation. I mean, tons of different types of projects over the years. Some theater work, some weddings, some real estate, construction, some different nonprofits and religious institutions and schools and universities. I mean, you name it. I try, and I'm a one-man band, so I really just film and edit everything myself. Sometimes I freelance for other companies. Other people sometimes freelance for me, but I try to keep it in-house and just provide the service directly to whoever needs it. Save the day.
Hell yeah, man. Well, David, I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's a blast. Learned a lot. Love talking to you. Love catching up. I love talking to fellow alumni too, man.
Yeah, Towson all the way.
Towson,
go to the program. Go to the program. I say go for it, but keep
it's a good program.
It's a good program, but keep in mind you gotta do the marketing, the networking, and the business side, and focus on that outside of the classroom, because they might not teach it to you there, and that's really what you need to survive in the real world.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, to my viewers, I hope I've earned the privilege of your time and viewership. I know my guest has. And David, can't thank you enough again for coming on. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. To my viewers, you know what to do. Until next time.